So, I forgot to mention earlier today that I went to the Oakland Roots versus Las Vegas Lights game, and since I went to that game and I didn't get home until around 10:30, that's why I am doing this review of the Saturday night action relatively late. And usually whenever I go to a game on Saturday, which pretty much is now every single week, I usually don't wait till do the review of the Saturday game until tomorrow, because I always will get home late and I still have to watch the review of those games before putting on the board. But since there was only 5 games that I need to review, because I already talked about the earlier game between Austin versus RSL, I still do have enough time to basically review this game and basically upload it onto my channel, though albeit it will be relatively late when I upload this video, because I had some issue in terms of uploading the preview. I found out when I got back the preview that I thought I uploaded, it decided not to do so, and now I had to kind of upload the preview once again, and therefore that's why the Sunday preview is also upload relatively late. But with that being said, let us actually get into this 5 games and a relatively light kind of night in terms of the Saturday action. And we start off with Montreal versus Atlanta United. And by the way, all 5 of these match, there was a couple of them that definitely had some playoff 6-pointer kind of type of game. And we'll talk about the first one between Montreal versus Atlanta. That is exactly like that, where this is kind of like a playoff 6-pointer in the Eastern Conference. And Montreal was able to walk away with all 3 points in terms of this playoff 6-pointer in the Eastern Conference. In some way, I was kind of surprised that Montreal was able to walk away, because, coming into this game, I thought Atlanta, coming off that 1-0 win against Inter Miami, it looks like they're going to continue this second half resurgence that they're going to end, and they could potentially get themselves into the 3rd position and maybe even separate from the rest of the pack of them winning a couple of games in a row. But instead, that's just not the case, and right now Atlanta is kind of just sputtering a little bit and kind of are finding themselves up and down in terms of being on which side of the red line, which that's kind of the case now, especially in the Eastern Conference race, where there's really not much separate in terms of teams that is just above the red line and teams that is below the red line. But in the first half, Sosa hits it wide from close range in the 2nd minute before Kyoto hits it just wide in the 23rd minute, as I thought Montreal did kind of start to control this game a little bit, but Pentemis didn't make a big save to deny Barco from close range. I thought Pentemis had another good game in this one. The same goes with Kyoto, as he hits it straight to Guzan. Barco then goes through on goal and kind of tried to chip over Pentemis, but unfortunately that one hits the post. I mean, Barco literally just took on the entire Montreal defense, and the fact that he not only set down all of them, but I think he also set down Pentemis in that situation. And if that went in, my oh my, I guarantee you that is definitely going to be voted as goal of the week, because Atlanta fans and how they tends to take the goal of the week competition like winning the MLS Cup. So they're probably going to stop the vote and say that is the goal of the week. And in some way, I think you could argue that deserve it, because you don't usually see an individual kind of effort where a single player literally just set down the entire Montreal team and basically just chipped it over their head to the back end. Like, that would be just an absolute nasty kind of goal. But we do head to halftime, 0-0 between both of these teams, but we wouldn't be 0-0 long heading into the second half, because 3 minutes in, Jake Morini would score from Araujo to make it 1-0 in favor of Atlanta United, but unfortunately that lead would not last long. In fact, it lasted only about 2 minutes, because Montreal immediately equalized in the 50th minute, and it's Kyoto scoring from Joaquin Torres to tie the game up at 1 apiece. And then the game kind of took a turn for the worse for Atlanta, because they gave up a penalty just 2 minutes later after Walks basically brought down Torres in the box. Now, here's the thing that is kind of makes me still question about, the whole denial of goal score opportunity in the box and the whole double jeopardy rule in MLS. Because, for this year, I have seen there's been some times where a player would look like he, of course, tried to go for the ball, but he, of course, missed it, and he fouled a player, and he gets a yellow card because of the double jeopardy rule. But then I've also seen times where, a a defender basically try to of course get the ball, trying to make a sliding challenge and a desperate challenge to trying to get that one away, and he completely mistimes it and give a penalty, and he is given a straight red because of the goal score opportunity. But it's just been so inconsistent that I'm sort of questioning what exactly is the double jeopardy rule, and is it even in MLS? Because we talked about how the double jeopardy rule being enforced in the rest of the world. One of the most famous one is in the Premier League, where they use the double jeopardy rule. But I don't know if that's the same case in MLS, and if it is, then I think this is a good example of using it. Even though Walks basically brought down Torres and Torres was goal for on goal, at least Walks did try to attempt to get that one away, and unfortunately he just kind of got it all wrong and got to get a yellow card for that. But nevertheless, it was still a penalty for Montreal, which Kyoto was able to bury to give Montreal the lead at that point. But in the 63rd minute, Araujo did try to chip Pentemis, but it goes high before Torres goes for goal, but he hits it straight to Guzan. Bello then puts it wide from close range to the 77th minute before there was a shot for a penalty from Montreal, but it was not given in the 78th minute, and that was kind of it, because for the latter part of this game, Atlanta, they didn't really put that much pressure on Montreal and didn't really kind of just throw the kitchen sink and really pressure Montreal to just hold on to this game. But nevertheless, Montreal does get the 2-1 victory, and the shots in this one, 10 shots could be the 11 that Atlanta has, 5 shots on goal could be the 3 that Atlanta has, 2 shots off target could be the 6 that Atlanta has, 3 shots that was blocked could be the 2 that Atlanta has, and possession-wise, 39% possession compared to 61% possession that Atlanta has in this game. And also Montreal, I believe they now move all the way up to 4th place in the Eastern Conference, but obviously that would depend on in order for to stay at that spot, they're going to have to hope that maybe teams around them also lose, because we also have a lot of teams that is part of that just a jumble of a mess in the Eastern Conference between 3rd all the way down to 10th place that still haven't played. So we see whether or not if Montreal can stay in that position. And for Atlanta, I think it's for certain that they are going to be below the red line. But again, the good news is they're only a point below the red line. And I also look at the remaining schedule that Atlanta has for the rest of the season, and the remaining schedule is actually not that bad. Like, they play a lot of teams that is below the red line for the rest of the season. Though I think there is a concern with this Atlanta team, looking at these last couple of performances where they are once again started to struggle to score goals. And I know Joseph Martinez is kind of like their main guy, and he did play in this game, but he was largely ineffective, and I thought Montreal did a good job shutting down him. But I feel like Atlanta, they really need to have another guy that can maybe carry the low a little bit besides Joseph Martinez. And one guy I think could do so is Ezequiel Barco. And, Barco, I thought, again, he was a little bit unlucky in this game, had some big moments, but just weren't able to put away. But again, I'm gonna go kind of just kind of talk about what I just said with the way that I think they definitely need another player besides Joseph Martinez as the main guy to score the goals for them, because otherwise, this Atlanta team, it's going to be so predictable, the fact that all you need to do is stop Joseph Martinez and you potentially will have a chance to beat Atlanta United. But that being said, moving on in terms of the next match is FC Cincinnati and the New York Red Bulls. And I mentioned before, the Red Bulls, this was an absolute must-win game for them, and they were able to do so by getting all 3 points. Although, I'll talk about later on, there was another team that had an absolute must-win game, and they were not able to get the 3 points at the end of the 90 minutes. But certainly for the Red Bulls, this was an absolute must-win, knowing the fact that you're literally playing the worst team in the league. And, even though they're playing it on the road, you should be able to beat them if they want to stay in the conversation of the Eastern Conference race. And the Red Bulls did exactly that, although it definitely took longer than they expected with the way how this game went. Because in the first half, Edwards did pose it high from long range in the 7th minute before Titan denied Klimala from close range. The Red Bulls was definitely pushing for an early goal. Klimala blasted it high on a shot while he was taking that off balance before Davis took a shot from 18 yards out that goes wide. Titan then denied Klimala from 13 yards out. I mean, Patrick Klimala was very unlucky not to have a goal. There was just so many times he got got denied by Shimislaw Titan, who, I thought Titan had a good game in this one, and it's just unfortunate that his offense just kind of let him down in this game, because the Red Bulls, they were really looking to try to get that opening goal, and really for the first 30 minutes it was basically so one-sided that really the only reason why they haven't got the opening goal was because of poor finishing and Titan kind of stewing on his hands. In the 30th minute, he would then deny former FC Cincinnati first-round pick Frankie Amaya on the free kick. Reyes then puts it over the bar in the 32nd minute before Titan once again denying Klimala from close range. Then in the 44th minute, Lucho Acosta finally gave FC Cincinnati the first shot of the game. Like, you know that the Red Bulls would dominate this game when Cincinnati didn't even have their first shot on goal until the 44th minute. And this one was actually on target as he put a looping header that was tipped over by Cornell. Then Stanko tried to tag one from long range that goes high. And, Cincinnati, despite the fact that they were under siege for the entire first half, they kind of had a couple of chances near the end to kind of maybe steal a goal and head to halftime with a 1-0 lead. But we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, Kubo hits one straight to Cornell before Royer shot is deflected wide in the 59th minute. But in the 72nd minute, the Red Bulls finally got the goal that they deserve in this game. And it's a former FC Cincinnati player that scores the goal. Andrew Gutman scoring from Cáceres and Nealis. I like how the fact that, Gutman was about to celebrate and then realize, I am playing FC Cincinnati, the team that gave me a chance to develop my career, and he just basically immediately put his hands up and not celebrate. And I like when players do that, because if you, and especially if you have like a strong connection to a team like what Andrew Gutman has with it, FC Cincinnati, you knew that he wasn't gonna celebrate, even though in the beginning he was kind of relieved the fact that he scored and give his team the deserved lead, but then he just realized, oh wait, I just score against my former team and the team that basically is the reason why I'm here. So yeah, I'm gonna put my hands up and just not celebrate whatsoever. But as the time wound down, since he was definitely pushing for a late goal, Barrio had a chance in the 88th minute, but he hits it straight to Cornell. But in the end, the Red Bulls were able to hold on to get a massive 3 points, and really now started to get themselves back in the Eastern Conference race, because I think they're only like 4 points off of the red line. Of course, that still depending on a lot of those teams that is bundle up in those playoff spot, and we'll see at the end of the week how many points will the Red Bulls still be behind. But there's definitely signs of life that they can maybe climb themselves back into that race. But in terms of shots in this one, 17 shots compared to just 6 that FC Cincinnati has. 3 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Red Bulls had. 7 shots off target compared to 1 that FC Cincinnati has. 2 shots that was blocked compared to 5 that the Red Bulls had. And possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that the Red Bulls has in this game. But yeah, for FC Cincinnati, they pretty much just gifted the Red Bulls all 3 points. And I hate to say it, but it feels like it's automatic 3 points when anybody play against FC Cincinnati, because it's clear that you can see that this team has really checked out and are already thinking about the golf course in the off season, instead of maybe thinking about finishing the season strong and try not to win the wooden spoon for the 3rd year in a row. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is Orlando getting a 2-1 win against DC United. And for the 2nd week in a row, Orlando was able to score a late goal. But this time, unlike where they scored the late goal against Nashville to get a point, they score a late goal against DC to get all 3 points in this game and finally snap out of that 5-game winless run that they had. Now, in the first half, Moreno hits it wide from close range, as I thought DC kind of got off to a good start, and they were rewarded with that good start with Julian Gresso scoring his second consecutive game from Canals and Ariola to give DC a 1-0 lead. But then in the 15th minute, Juan did try to cross one in that was kind of deflected and almost went into the back of the net. And really, ever since DC got the opening goal, I thought Orlando was really pushing to try to get the equalizer, and they eventually would get it not long after, as Robin Janssen was the one that was able to get the equalizer from Orlando City. I'll tell you what, I think coming into this season, Orlando has always never been a good set piece kind of team and have always struggled in terms of scoring on set piece goal, but recently it seems like that has just kind of changed, and especially the fact that they have never been a team that have like a lot of their defenders score goals, and now all of a sudden it's almost like every single game at least one defender does score a goal. And again, Robin Janssen getting another goal here to tie the game up at 1 apiece for Orlando City. Though Gresso looked like he was trying to equalize, but his shot is actually blocked off the line by Antonio Carlos. Then Michel just puts it wide from close range in the 35th minute as Orlando was pushing for a go-ahead goal, but we do head to halftime tied at 1 apiece between both of these teams. So we go to the second half, and in the second half, Ariola flashed one hide in the 47th minute before Gresso puts it wide from long range in the 50th minute, and once again, DC was on the front foot early, but fast forward into the 78th minute, there was a shout for a penalty for DC as they felt like Roberta was brought down as he took the shot. I mean, Roberta did kind of take that shot, but he was kind of a little bit off balance when he, well, actually not off balance, but he kind of took some contact as he took the shot, and DC was definitely felt like that should maybe deserve to be a penalty, but it was not given. But in the 87th minute, it looked like Orlando got their winning goal when Tesha Akindele puts a shot that was somehow in some way clear off the line by Mora. But eventually, as time winds down in this game, and with Orlando having a couple of corners to basically get that walk-off goal, they were able to do so off one of the corner. And it's none other than Daryl DK scoring from Chris Mueller to give Orlando City the 2-1 lead right at the death. And that would be the final score of this game as Orlando get a massive 3 points in this game against DC. And the shots in this one, 12 shots compared to 11 that DC had, 4 shots on goal compared to 2 that DC had, 2 shots off target compared to 6 that DC had, 6 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that DC had, and possession wise 65% possession compared to 35% possession that DC United has in this game. And with this win, Orlando City has jumped all the way up to 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. And again, it all depends on whether or not, like tomorrow, when some of these other teams is around that log jam of a standing in the Eastern Conference. We'll see at the end of that day whether if Orlando can remain in 3rd place. But yeah, this is a massive victory for a team that desperately need a win to trying to stop not only the bleeding. I mean, they kind of stopped the bleeding in the last game against Nashville, getting that crucial 2-2 draw, but they really need to get themselves a win so that they don't fall back into that habit of just start not winning games. Because, you know, when you go on a winless run, it can really damage the psychology and the mentality of a team. And, you know, Orlando was trying to avoid to do that, and it seems like they did exactly that by getting all 3 points in this game against DC United. But now, moving on in terms of the next game. So, I mentioned before, earlier, that another team had to have a must-win game coming into a game, and that, of course, is Minnesota. Have to have a must-win game against FC Dallas, and unfortunately, like the Red Bulls able to get the job done, the Loons cannot do so. They had a frustrating 0-0 draw against FC Dallas, and in many ways, the reason why Minnesota wasn't able to get all 3 points was a combination of, once again, bad finishing for this team, and also Felipe decided to kind of have his best game of the season in this one, just making an incredible save to deny the Loons a chance to get the opening goal. But at least early on, I thought Dallas was actually the better team. Miller was able to deny Cervania in the 2nd minute. A lot of possession for Dallas early in this game, as, you know, once again, it was another slow start for the Loons, which, you know, this season, there's been a lot of that. And the good news is, at least with these slow start, eventually they do get themselves in the game. Felipe then denied Reynoso from close range in the 14th minute before Hollinshead puts it just wide from close range. Le then puts it high from long range in the 22nd minute before on the other end, Fiera hits a long range shot that goes straight to Miller. But both teams was getting some good half chances, at least in the opening 30 minutes of this game. Hedges puts it wide from close range at the half-hour mark. I thought the defending for the Loons looked really suspect in the early part, especially the fact that I thought they were giving Dallas way too much space to operate, and there wasn't really enough closing down in terms of those long-range shots that Dallas was taking. But in the 36th minute, Felipe would deny Reynoso again, this time from 23 yards out, and we head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, I thought the Loons started to really get into this game and started to get more possession and took control of this game. But this is also when Felipe decided to kind of making some incredible save and trying to keep Dallas in this game, because in the 55th minute he absolutely robbed Reynoso in the back post. I mean, you could argue Reynoso should have done better there in the back post, but that was just incredible with how Felipe able to get to it and just kept that one out. Hollinshead then in the 59th minute thought that he scored the opening goal of this game, but the goal was disallowed for a handball, and they actually go to VAR to see whether or not if that is the case. And by the way, there was a couple of dodgy decisions that I thought happened in this game, and this was just one of those ones where, you know, I don't think that looked clear and obvious to be a handball. I mean, sure, yes, it did kind of look like it hits the hand of Hollinshead, but his hand was kind of tucked in away, and it kind of also more looked like it kind of hits his shoulder and almost kind of near the armpit rather than really toward his hand. But nevertheless, the big argument of why maybe I thought the Loons kind of got away with one here is the fact that, you know, I don't think that was clear and obvious to basically overturn it, but the referee decided to kind of overturn it. And, you know, I thought, again, the Loons kind of got away with one there. And I think on another day, if that was maybe potentially be the same situation, maybe that one would have not been overturned. But I'll talk about later how there was also a call that went against the Loons late in this one. But in the 61st minute, Pepe mishits a shot that goes straight to Tyler Miller. I thought Ricardo Pepe didn't really had the best of the game. I mean, credit to Minnesota, despite the fact that I did say that their defense was a little bit suspect. They did a good job, at least in most of this game, containing Ricardo Pepe. And, you know, Pepe did kind of miss a chance to potentially score the most goals ever as a teenager, which, you know, I think he's only one shy away from tying Diego Fagundes' mark as the most goal ever scored by a teenager in MLS. But there was no doubt that I thought Dallas had the momentum ever since the goal was disallowed from them right at the hour mark. But then in the 71st minute, this is when the Loons was really pushing for the winning goal. Felipe with an incredible double save, robbing both Robin Led and Fragapani on the follow-up. Before there was a shout for a penalty for the Loons that was not given, the Loons was definitely pressing for the go-ahead goal. Felipe then denied Hansen from close range in the 85th minute. Before this is where the other dodgy decision happened in this game, as Reynoso would get himself a straight red in this game after VAR deemed that his foul on Schoen was worthy of a red card. And, you know, the reason why I think this is kind of a dodgy call and why, you know, I'm going to maybe sound a little bit biased here because, you know, as a Minnesota supporter, it's kind of hard for me to just judge whatever I said in this. It's going to be sounds a little bit biased, but, you know, I don't think that's a red card in my opinion. I mean, at very best, maybe that's an orange card, because when I look on that play, you know, Reynoso, he kind of tried to turn Schoen there with the dribble, and he kind of overhit it. But at the same time, you know, as he was trying to get to the ball, he looked like he just accidentally stepped on Schoen. Now, obviously, when you do that, then yeah, that still is worthy of a foul. But, you know, I just don't think that was just intentional. And in many ways, I don't think Reynoso realized that he stepped on Schoen until he actually stepped on there. And I've seen before where when you step on a player intentionally, then yeah, obviously it is going to be a red card. But in this way, I just don't know. I don't think this is worthy of a red card, and it's going to be interesting to see what Disco is going to think about this, because I'm pretty sure Minnesota is going to appeal this, and hopefully they do win this appeal, because Reynoso is very important to this team, and knowing the fact that heading into these last couple of games, and especially if we do not have Reynoso in the next game, then I do get very nervous of them not potentially getting all 3 points against Colorado in the next week. But that being said, the red card, give Dallas a chance to maybe win this game. Fiera had a chance to do so in the 6 minute stoppage time, but he crossed it wide from long range. But at the end of the day, it ends in a scoreless draw between both of these teams. By the way, I also want to mention the fact that there was a Willie Nelson concert that was played right after the end of this game, and I kind of find it funny that the Loons social media page and the Twitter page, they say, yeah, we're not staying for the Willie Nelson concert after what we saw in this game. And by the way, there was a big crowd for this game. Certainly, I thought there was more seats that was filled in this game that I've seen pretty much the entire season for Dallas in the home game. And I get it, most of the people were there to really want to watch the Willie Nelson concert and not really just there to watch Dallas play. But you're at an FC Dallas game. I mean, I know you probably won't support the team, but at least root for them, and maybe still root for the home team in some way. But yeah, it was just kind of an interesting fact that I kind of want to throw in there. And if I noticed that there was a Willie Nelson concert after this game, I would have maybe even think about going to this game, because I don't think a lot of people know, but I love country music, and Willie Nelson is definitely one of the more famous country music artists, especially down there in the Texas area. So yeah, I think I could have maybe even thought about going to this game if I know that before. But either way, the shots in this one: 12 shots compared to 17 that Minnesota has, 4 shots on goal compared to 6 that Minnesota has, 6 shots off target compared to 5 that Minnesota has, 2 shots that was blocked compared to 6 that Minnesota has, and possession-wise, 48% possession compared to 52% possession that the Loons has in this game. And the good news for the Loons is, even though they didn't get all 3 points in a game, I thought it was a must-win for them. At least they're still above the red line right now. But the bad news is they're only a point above the red line right now, because the team that's chasing behind them, that is the Vancouver Whitecaps, are only 1 point behind them. And I believe Minnesota does play Vancouver at least just one more time, but that matchup is going to be at BC Place. And when that matchup does happen, yeah, it is going to be truly a playoff 6-pointer. And when I also look at the rest of the schedule for the Loons, yeah, there are some easy games and some tough games. It's kind of a mixture of them, but I just feel like if this team is going to make the playoffs, at the bare minimum, they need to win at least 4 more games. Like, I think they probably will have to reach the 50-point mark, especially with this season, with the way that only the top 7 team make it into the playoffs. You probably might need to have at least 50 points if you potentially have a shot of making the playoffs this season. But now moving on in terms of the next match, and the team that is started to have their playoff hope fading away is the San Jose Earthquakes. I mean, I don't want to say that their playoff hope is completely done, like certain Quake fan base that I've heard that they've said that it seems like their season is pretty much done after this loss. Because remember, the Quakes still get a chance to play against the Whitecaps at home one more time, and not to mention they still do play against teams around them in the playoff at least once for the rest of the season. But my biggest concern with this team now is that they are not winning these games that could be playoff decider. Like, I think this is the second time where the Quakes are playing in a playoff 6-pointer that, they have to win if they want to make it to the playoffs. The first one was against RSL, where they lost that one in thrilling fashion, 4-3 at home. And then in this game, I don't think the scoreline really kind of justified the fact that the Quakes just got completely blown out in this one, because I thought there were times the Quakes had some good moment, but really when you look at how they perform in this game, yeah, it was not good enough whatsoever. Though I will say it is this for the Whitecaps, they just did something that they have not done since 2018, and that of course is have a player score a hat-trick. And that player that scored the hat-trick is none other than Brian White. And I've always said before, when Brian White got traded from the Red Bulls to the Whitecaps, I really love that deal. Like, I think that is an absolute steal that the Whitecaps had, because I know Brian White is a very decent player. I mean, I know a lot of people don't rate him. I certainly do. I think he is a decent player, and he can definitely be a 10 to 15 plus goal scorer when he does when he does remain healthy, because he also had been having some injury issue lately. And in this game, he kind of shows you why exactly he could be that guy that can score double digit and score 15 goals. It almost looked like the guy that was with the Red Bulls a couple of years ago, where a lot of people thought that he was another one of those players that could be a potential U.S. men's national team player with how promising his career start with the Red Bulls. But early on in the 4th minute, Mark Sinkowski denied Ryan Gaul from close range before Dahomey drills one wide from long range. And I thought the Whitecaps were on the front foot early in this game. Espinoza then blasted high in the 10th minute before White missed just high on the header, but he wouldn't miss in the 25th minute as he scored here to give the Whitecaps a 1-0 lead. The Quakes did try to respond quickly as Marcos Lopez blazed it high from long range. Then Kikanovic kind of mishits a shot there on the left side, and because he kind of mishits that shot, it was a relatively easy save to Crépeau. But I thought the Quakes was definitely trying to push to get that equalizer before halftime, but we do head to halftime with the Whitecaps leading 1-0 against the Quakes. Now in the second half, Dahomey blazed it high from long range before there was kind of some physical play between both of these teams after some pushing and shoving happening after Kikanovic kind of fouled Crépeau and kind of pushed him into his net. And when you do that, yeah, expect there's going to be some escalation because, you know, teams do not like players and especially strikers just kind of push their goalkeeper into their own net. Speaking of goalkeeper, in the 58th minute, Mark Sinkowski was able to deny White, but then just 1 minute later on the very next sequence, White would score his second goal from Caicedo to make it 2-0 in favor of the Whitecaps, and I basically wrote that was typical Quake set-piece defending. I mean, I talked about how many times this team sucked at set-piece defending, and this was an example of it where our defender just not strong enough to did not jump high enough to basically clear that one away. And White, I will say that he did a relatively good job in terms of jump just high enough and redirect that one into the back of the net. But, you know, if you're a defender and you're defending set pieces, you have to be the first to get there. Because if you're not the first to get that header when the ball comes into the box, you're in big trouble of potentially conceding a goal. Now, in the 63rd minute, it seems like the Quakes, they were going for a line change as Almeida trying to make 4 changes. I mean, this is not the first time I've seen Almeida does so, although I will say that as much as I do like the fact that Almeida decided to make some changes and, you know, substitution usually or changes usually kind of leads to an instant impact. Some of the substitution that Almeida made, you know, I'm still kind of a little bit questioning some of the guys that he brought in, and one of those guys that he brought in is Andy Rios. Like, honestly, I'm pretty sure that whenever Andy Rios is on the pitch for this Quakes team, the Quakes are just not allowed to score a goal. So the fact that that is the case, I just don't know why Almeida just keep kind of putting him in, and it almost felt like the Quakes are always play down to just 10 men every time Rios step in, because yeah, I mean, he has just been so bad for this team, and you know it's still kind of mind-boggling the fact that he is still playing for this team. And you know, I won't be surprised if Almeida potentially maybe get let go at the end of the season. I won't be surprised. One of the reasons I will say, or maybe do a video of what went wrong with Almeida with this team that led him getting fired by the Quakes. I'll just mention, well, the biggest reason is always playing Andy Rios every single game this season, even though he is just pretty much absolutely useless. And as I've said before on Twitter, he's basically kind of a lamppost and a liability for this team. But in the 69th minute, Dahomey did drag it wide from 17 yards out before 4 minutes later, White would complete his hat-trick as he scored from goal to make it 3-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. And I basically wrote again, typical set piece from the Quakes again. Like, you know that guy called Brian White that is in the middle of the box and have already scored 2 goals against you? Yes, maybe someone need to mark him, because the fact that on that play the Quakes decided to let Brian White completely unmarked in the 6-yard box. Yeah, I knew when I saw that, like, even when the ball was about to deliver in, when I saw how White was just literally wide open in the box, I knew that was going to go in, because you know how Brian White has already been red hot, and that was a goal where I just think he wasn't going to miss with the confidence that he was playing in, and he didn't. And scored the goal to complete his hat-trick and become the first Whitecaps player to score a hat-trick in 3 years. Then Goal tried to join in the goal-scoring action in the 76th minute, but he blazed that one high, and I thought this could get ugly for the Quakes. There was a scramble in the Quakes box that somehow does not lead to a goal for the Whitecaps. Before in the 89th minute, Brown did try a long-range effort, but it goes high. But in the end, the Vancouver Whitecaps, in a playoff six-pointer in the Western Conference, get that crucial 3 points. And the shots in this one, 18 shots compared to 11 that the Quakes had. 6 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Quakes had. 8 shots off target compared to 4 that the Quakes had. 4 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that the Quakes had. And possession-wise, 40% possession compared to 60% possession that the San Jose Earthquakes has in this game. And like I said, I know it's very easy to just kind of count the Quakes out after this game and just say the season is done. But, if I want to be positive, which, I think it's kind of ironic the fact that I'm trying to be positive with the Quakes. Consider I've said it many times, I'm always being pessimistic toward the Quakes, and sometimes I could be a little bit too negative. But just to kind of put it in a little bit of a positive note after this loss is the fact that they do still play against a lot of teams that is around them in the playoffs at least one more time from now for the rest of the season. And really the only tough game that the Quakes are going to be playing is against the Portland Timbers on the road, which, yeah, that's probably going to be an automatic loss, knowing the fact that the Quakes never beat the Timbers on the road. But just overall, I'm just really hoping that they can potentially win some of these playoff six-pointer in the future. But judging by the Quakes, and with this team, I talk about how many times when this team tried to give me hope, they completely just smashed that, and it's just not looking good right now with the way that they're losing these playoff six-pointers. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 5 games that happened in terms of the Saturday night action. And again, tomorrow I of course will be doing the review for the Sunday game, and I'm hoping I'll do review right after when the game is over between the Seattle Sounder and the Colorado Rapids, which that game will be probably finish relatively late if you're in the East Coast at 9 p.m. But for me, well, actually, it's not 9 p.m. For me, it's 9 p.m. But in the East Coast, it's going to be 12 a.m. Eastern time. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.